I'm here with best-selling novelist of The Mason Jar and award-winning documentary filmmaker Russell Lingerfelt and mixed martial arts champion and award-winning real estate agent Tim Stout. Hi, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Hi, man. I'm glad you guys are here. So I got to ask this question. First of all, how do you guys know each other? How'd you connect?
Do you remember? I remember.
Tell us.
You ready?
I've been hitting the head a lot.
Yeah, that's all right. So when I first moved to Newnan, I was told by the firm that I work at to find an office. Like, go ahead and be thinking about where I wanted to open an office. So I Googled real estate agents. I Googled him and saw that he was a mixed martial arts champion. Saw some of his videos of him doing professional fighting. Saw that he had won some awards. And then I read that he had won some awards in real estate. And I've never been in a fight in my life. I'm just not a fighter like that. But when I lived in Tuscaloosa, Alabama for a number of years, out of grad school, I worked out with a bunch of the MMA fighters, and they taught me their diet plans and they taught me their workouts to get in top shape. And so I worked out with them. I worked out with them for about a year, and I enjoyed watching the fights, but I never wanted to be in them. But I really respected him. I knew that if he had done all that, he had worked really hard. And you got to work hard to be successful at anything. It doesn't matter. And so I was just really impressed with his work ethic and his success. So I called him up, and it was a very short conversation. I just said, you know, were you a mixed martial arts champion? He was like, yeah. But he wanted to cut straight to the point, which I understood because he's a businessman. And I said, well, and I just told him my story. I'm moving over here, been dating this young woman, and I'm moving over here, and I need to start finding a place for an office. And then he just said, well, when you're ready to pull the trigger on that, give me a call. And that was it. Probably 2 or 3 years went by. Mm-hmm. And then I think I don't remember. I read his book. So Tim has written a book.
Okay.
And he's written a book about being an entrepreneur, but as a self-made entrepreneur, not someone that was appointed as a CEO, but somebody that's built something from the ground up. And I read his book, and I left a nice review. And I think he called me, actually. I think you called me after that. And then we reconnected then, and just slowly, you know, a friendship has been built. So
that's nice.
And in my defense, I'm not a conversationalist, so that's why I was being short. So
no, I understand. I wasn't offended by it.
No. And we've met 3 or 4 times. And like I said, we have a lot of things in common. We both do a lot of video work, and like, you know, his book was way more successful than mine. We've both written books, and
we also come from small towns. We came from small. Yeah. He grew up in a small town in East Tennessee. I grew up in a small town in North Alabama.
So you took the procrastination of waiting a couple of years after that first contact, and then finally decided you guys are friends now, and plus I assume he rented or got something from you as well?
Well, what I did is, that move to find my own office never happened. What we do now at the firm I work at is we share offices. Okay. So I never needed one, but we still became friends.
But now you have a friend out of the deal.
Now we have a friend. Yeah.
Excellent. So were you guys sitting along eating your Lucky Charms one day and said, we should do something for St. Patrick's Day? What brought that idea on?
We were just talking about the different festivals they have in town, in the area, and then he had mentioned that there's nothing for St. Paddy's Day right here.
What I realized about Newnan when I started doing my research is it was a Civil War town, and they had a hospital that took care of the Northern soldiers, but they took care of the Confederate soldiers all in one place. And there is a very, very rich Scottish-Irish heritage, and Newnan actually has a town in Scotland that they have some kind of partnership with. I think they call it a sister town. I was really surprised that I couldn't find an Irish pub anywhere nearby. The nearest Irish pub is in Buckhead, Sandy Springs, which is over an hour away. And we've been up there for their St. Paddy's Day parties, but they never have a live Irish music band. It's always Americans playing American music. And I was thinking, I would really like to have a St. Paddy's Day party, and it'd be the kind of party that I would want to go to. And why don't we just throw one in Newnan? And why don't we find a venue that would be appropriate for that? And I pitched the idea to Tim, and
I love the idea when we first come to. Like I said, I'm according to 23andMe, I'm 60% Irish and 40% German. So I've always been infatuated with the Irish, even before I knew that was where my side was. Because, you know, you talk to your family, mom and dad, and they say, well, we're Irish, you know, we're German, we're Irish German. And so I was always infatuated with it and always did a lot of research and just studied around and looked at it. And it was just something that always appealed to me. And St. Paddy's Day was always something fun. It was always an event for me. And then when I cemented that it was a big part of who I was, you know, I just fell in love with the whole culture and stuff. So when he brought this to me, it was definitely a winner.
Instant interest in it, right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. We started discussing back and forth if we were going to go to a St. Paddy's Day party and it'd be the kind of party we want to go to, what would it look like? And so we talked about only Irish drinks. So Atlanta Tap Truck is going to come and be the bartenders. They're going to have Guinness and Harps, which are both originated and brewed in Ireland. There's an Irish wine and there's also an Irish cider because some of the ladies have pointed out that they're not beer drinkers. we're going to have Irish whiskey there. We're going to bring in a local caterer that specializes in Irish food, and they're going to have shepherd's pie. And we're thinking about having Irish bread, which in America we call it soda bread, but in Ireland that's the bread they eat, and it's just this really dark, dense brown bread. Very tasty if it's made the right way. I was in Ireland in 2014 and got to try all this stuff. So we also found out that we started making some phone calls, and the reason why it's really hard to find a live Irish music band is because there's very, very few of them in the entire USA,
Really?
and they're all completely booked out on St. Paddy's Day. So we knew we didn't want to be in competition with any St. Paddy's Day parties at some of the local restaurants and pubs and breweries. So we decided to have the St. Paddy's Day party the day before St. Paddy's Day. And then the live Irish music band, we found one and they were available that day, but they're not available on St. Paddy's Day, but they're available on the day before.
Makes sense.
And so the venue that we are booking, the train depot, it only holds 200 people. So we're only going to be able to have 200 tickets available. That could work very well in our favor because limited seating, limited tickets.
Act now, quickly get your tickets, and first come, first serve on the sale, correct?
Right.
And it's going to be almost it's going to be a little, because of 200 tickets, it's going to almost have some exclusivity to it because it's not like you can just show up at the door and be able to get in.
Right. Like some of the local restaurants who might be putting on something, you know, whether it's, you know, a band, like you said, an American band, and they're drinking green beer, you know, and that's pretty much the extent of it.
I think the people that we're going to draw are the people that love Ireland and love Irish culture and love St. Paddy's Day, because if we had a broad audience, they're going to complain that there's not Coors Light, you know.
Right.
They're going to complain that there's not, you know, a Pinot Noir from California. But if we really make it a true Irish event, I think that we will draw the people that have that love and passion and respect for St. Patrick as well as Ireland.
I think it can be a cultural learning event for a lot of people coming in that you know are they're with somebody. They come with someone who loves the culture, then they get to learn a lot just through osmosis because they'll get to absorb the true experience without being in Ireland.
Well, there's an Irish company in Newnan I think it's called Malahan, and I believe they make airplane parts. I believe that's their number one. And the general manager or the president, they brought him in from Ireland with his wife and two sons. And their two sons are like 11 and 12 years old, and they're living in Newnan. And I've met him before, and I gave him a call and asked him if he would come and do an Irish toast to kick off the event. And he and his wife were excited about the idea, and he was like, absolutely, we'll do it. And there's actually an Irish group in the greater Atlanta region that stay in touch with each other through a Facebook group. And they're going to announce it to the Irish group, and we might actually have a handful of people from Ireland at the party. So
nice. Well, that's really good. Will there be any pinching of the non-green people?
I hope no one pinches me. We'll be wearing green though.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're sorry, if they're not wearing green, you go up and pinch them like it's elementary school.
We can do this again.
You mean that stop in the
Cut that out of your building.
Oops.
So, you told us pretty much some of the things that are going to be taking place at the party, the food and the drink and such. obviously, I believe it's going to be successful, otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here with you. So do you think this could be something that can branch out into a yearly thing, and not necessarily just a 200 limit, but who knows if we grow to 3 somewhere, or maybe a different venue? I mean, I guess the sky's the limit. Is that what you're thinking?
I think it could definitely be an annual thing, really, really easy.
Yeah, it's super easy to do an annual thing. How big we allow it to go, that might be a conversation we just have in hindsight. So our plan is to throw the first party and document it. We'll have a videographer there, and then maybe the next day or two we kind of reflect on and say, hey, what did we like, what did we not like, what was the feedback from the people that attended, and then just go from there each year.
It's something we'd definitely be interested in growing, but without watering down the reason we're doing it. I like the idea of limiting it, always having a limit. Like I think that's how you get the exclusivity. That's what makes it like, are we going to this? It's a plan. It's not a, what are we doing tonight? And we show up to a place.
Right.
It's like this is a planned event.
We owe a lot of our Southern heritage to the Irish. And if you think about this, bluegrass is a descendant of traditional Irish music. A lot of the gospel music was written by the English and the Irish and the Scottish.
True.
Country music came about because they started blending the gospel with the bluegrass. So if it wasn't for the Irish, we wouldn't have country music, we wouldn't have bluegrass. A lot of the gospel songs wouldn't be here. So all of that really came from traditional Irish music. And that's why, at least I felt it was important to include that, because it's just it's a part of the American heritage that we don't even know about. It's been forgotten.
And I think that, speaking of this, just the whole St. Paddy's Day is a reason for a lot of people in the country to drink. It's a drinking holiday, and this one is going to be more of a celebration of heritage than it is a celebration and a reason to drink.
Which you were correct. That's a lot. Hey, where are we going to go to have our beer tonight?
Yeah,
exactly.
And they were toasting St. Patrick because he built Ireland's very first school, and he built the school, but because it was to teach Catholicism. That was the number one. It was kind of like what we would call a modern day seminary. Back in those days, when you founded a school like that to teach them literature so that they could read scripture and understand Catholicism, from there it broke off to the math and the sciences, and then incorporating more subjects. It's a legend, it's a myth that he chased the snakes out of Ireland. That's one of the things. But the whole point of having St. Paddy's Day was to celebrate his existence, because if it wasn't for St. Patrick, where would Ireland have gone? Where would they be? Since he was the one that founded the first schools. So
we celebrated St. Paddy's Day a little different. As a kid, we wore green, or you got pinched,
right,
as you spoke about earlier. And you didn't realize the importance of the holiday until probably I was in my mid-20s. Because in my early 20s, it was a reason to go out and drink. We would go. There was a bar called Bennigan's. I'm pretty sure it's an Irish pub in the neighboring city, and me and my friends and a couple hundred random people would go hang out and partake of a few too many drinks, and that's what celebrating St. Paddy's Day was, until the educational part of it. Then you realize there's so much more to it from the heritage, from the beginning, and like Russell touched earlier about the music and things like that. It's something makes complete sense, but I never put two and two together until he said it.
Are you guys open to sponsorships from local businesses who either may or may not have tickets, but just want to have a name and be involved in the event itself?
Absolutely. We've actually already got one company who has pre-ordered 8 tickets before the pre-order, because they want their company at the party.
Well, there you have it. I'm super excited, and I hope you are too. Coming up Wednesday, March 16th, 2022, the Train Depot in Newnan. It's going to be a super St. Patrick's Day party. If you need more details, you can look in the body of the text of the post, and it's probably right here on the screen too.